Hi guys, Michael Fights with Friends here. Don't forget tonight, special stream 8 p.m. We're going to do Ultimate Fighter Fight Companion. So if you're new here, please like and subscribe. We do all kinds of fight companions, UFC, Bellator, boxing, kickboxing, you name it. I'm here to talk about something a little different right now though. So the UFC, we know, last year signed CM Punk. He fought Mickey Gall. It lasted a couple minutes. He's getting a second fight against a guy who's 0-2, Mike Jackson, 0-1 in the amateur ranks, 0-1 in the professional ranks. So he has name notoriety. That's all he's got. Everybody knows it. Even Dana's not going to deny it. So Scott Coker thought, I can do one better. Curtis Jackson, better known as 50 Cent, has been talking about MMA for a while. He's actually a former professional boxer. A lot of people don't know this. He actually was a Golden Gloves boxing world champion. He was forced to give up his boxing career after he was shot 9 times. Just famously, he raps about being shot, and that story's been out there for a while. Conor McGregor's talked smack to him in the past. But he was not an MMA guy. Now he's saying he's inspired, though, by the Conor McGregor-Floyd Mayweather bout. So, get this. He comes to Scott Coker, talks Scott Coker into signing him to a 3-fight contract in Bellator. Not only is it a 3-fight contract, though. I said that Bellator was one-upping the UFC. At the end of 3 fights, Curtis Jackson, 50 Cent, would get a title shot. He's 42 years old, never stepped into a cage. He's already called out Quentin Rampage Jackson. This is a guy who's, yes, he's on the back end of his career. But Rampage Jackson, this is a guy who was UFC champion, Pride champion, had some good wins in Bellator. Lost his last fight to Chael Sonnen in the Bellator Grand Prix. Didn't seem like he was really all that into it. But I'm pretty sure he can beat up a rapper, 42-year-old rapper, that's never fought before. Literally. Except for boxing. We know boxers can't just go straight into MMA with just boxing. And this guy isn't even a boxer. This guy's a guy that, he boxed, 20 years ago. So this is just a new level of ridiculousness. How Scott Coker signed on for this. I thought Scott Coker was a good promoter. I still think he is. But why? Why do you sign a guy that he's a rapper? He's a guy who boxed in a whole nother lifetime. And you're going to start a guy off that's already so old, he should have retired probably 3 or 4 years ago if he had actually been an MMA fighter. You're going to start him out there. Then you work out a contract where at the end of the 3-year contract, it ends with a title shot on the 3rd bout. So if he loses his first 2 bouts to 2 nobodies, they're going to put him in there with a champion. I could just imagine how much money they are giving him. I think Bellator's done better when they're not a freak show. Marketing, good. I like some of the things Scott Coker does from a marketing standpoint. I like the Grand Prix. A lot of these guys were a little old, but what he had to work with, The Fedor versus Frank Mir fight ended up really good, and now that a lot more people are looking forward to that Grand Prix. This last card, Bellator 198, amazing. We've seen some absolutely phenomenal submissions, some of the highest level jiu-jitsu on the planet. We've seen it in MMA matches. Incredibly entertaining. Absolutely incredibly entertaining. Now you go back to when he's tried to do things that weren't quite as entertaining. You know, when the gimmick fights. And the biggest one that comes to mind, of course, is the card where we had Kimbo Slice versus Dada 5000, who was probably literally in the worst shape that any fighter has ever stepped into, at least on this level in the UFC or Bellator. Nobody's ever stepped into the cage, you know, under that level. He literally almost died of a heart attack in 15 minutes, just because he was so out of shape. They didn't even fight that much. I can just imagine a guy who doesn't fight, and he's going to be in the light heavyweight division. Who's this guy going to fight out of the gate? I don't know. But you got a few of these light heavyweights in this Grand Prix, of course. You got Ryan Bader. You got Chael Sonnen. You got, you know, of course, Rampage Jackson. You got Stephan Bonner. He's probably still around. He could come in. You got Tito Ortiz. Any of these guys are going to want to come in and fight this guy for the money. These guys that are big name. I mean, who are you going to bring in for this guy to fight? You almost have to bring in, you know, some fall guys. Get him some good training and get him in there against some guys that are also in their professional debut, no training, and are just completely unmotivated. But I mean, I don't understand this. I don't understand the payoff. I understand, I guess, why he's doing it, because the notoriety of everything, of having that big name in there. We've seen this in the past. Herschel Walker in Strikeforce, 50 years old, came out, actually looked phenomenal in his fight. But that guy was a professional athlete. That guy was a beast. Curtis Jackson in here, I mean, you know, he's a rapper. He looks good. He always looks in shape, pretty much. Obviously, he's not drug tested. He could take TRT. I don't care if he takes TRT. And there's nothing against him taking TRT. It's not even illegal. It's not even a legal drug. And I'm sure he works out. I'm sure he's working out some MMA. I'm sure he's hitting the bag. I'm sure he's talking to some guys. He's probably training with some guys. How are you going to, at 42 years old, though, cover that gap to fight these guys at this level? This is supposed to be the second best MMA organization on the frickin' planet, next to the UFC. And you got 50 Cent coming in here. You know, you can find him in the club, and apparently now you can find him in the cage. It's a little bit embarrassing to me. A lot of people, you know, were a little critical of me because I was actually excited about the UFC Disney deal. UFC ESPN, I should say. Same company, though. And there's some opportunities for some cross promotions and things there. So, you know, that's why I say Disney, ESPN Disney. But Bellator, you got Paramount. You got to have guys better to put out there than this. I know people know who 50 Cent is. Yeah, probably a few people are going to watch him. This should be on somebody's YouTube channel. This should maybe be on Fights with Friends. I mean, I might entertain the idea of 50 Cent fighting in a live show on my channel. Might. But Scott Coker should not be entertaining this idea. He's supposed to be trying to compete with the UFC, who, like I said, has got a fighter in there, CM Punk, fighting against a guy who's 0-2. So, you know, maybe tit for tat. But what do you guys think about this? Let me know what you guys think about. Am I overreacting? Is this absolutely ridiculous? Are you excited to see 50 Cent in here? Do you think, hey, this guy's just a tough son of a bitch, the former Golden Gloves champion, and that mind power, that mindset of a champion and of a winner is just going to translate into the cage because he's been so successful in rapping and in business. Tough son of a bitch, obviously, got shot 9 times and lived to tell about it. Came back better than ever. And he always stays in great shape. And now he's calling out Rampage Jackson. So, maybe that's the deal. Don't forget tonight, like I said, 8 p.m., the Ultimate Fighter Tough Companion will all get together. Daniel Cormier versus Stipe Miocic. That's the Ultimate Fighter Companion. 2 more guys will fight this week. Stipe's a couple guys down. He needs a win. We'll see what happens tonight. I will see you at 8. As always, I love you. I respect you. And I'll see your fine asses later.